Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Don't Hate on Debate from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit. And it says, am I the arsehole for snapping at my brother because he's why we moved? Before we do get into this story, there is talk of racism within the story, so if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you. Me, 14 female, brother, Daniel, 16 male. I used to live in City X. I was born and raised there. All my friends are here. All extracurricular opportunities I have are here. I.e., the debate circuit is very strong here. Connections I've cultivated for youth activism, good internship opportunities, etc. But my brother fucked up big time about a year ago and ruined it all for us. I'm not going to get into the exact nature of what he did, but it was bad. He didn't do something that would have serious legal consequences or anything, but it was stupid, incredibly problematic, and got him landed in enough shit for it to spread throughout social media. He also got in trouble with the school, and he claimed he couldn't stay there because his reputation is ruined. Personally, I think he should have thought of that before he did it. My parents were mad, but they got sympathetic because he said he was getting bullied and they wanted to protect his future. So they moved him to 2 other high schools, but it ended in the same way because everyone knew what happened anyways. So my parents and him decided to move to an entirely different state, in City Y, without consulting me at all. My brother's future is important, but why should my future be sacrificed just because he fucked up? City Y is super small and has way shittier schools and doesn't have a debate league. I also have to leave all my friends behind. No one knows about what my brother did, so he's happy, my parents are happy, I'm the only one who's not happy. At the risk of sounding cocky, I had a really good future in my extracurriculars. Like definitely could have shaped up to be one of the best nationally, according to a lot of people. If I had the right coaching and competition, I could have gotten scholarships to great schools for it. But no, Daniel had to get himself into deep shit and drag me into it too. I've been here for 4 months now, and I didn't talk to my brother at all for the first 2 months. Now we're all at home and my frustrations are building every time I see him. So at dinner, my brother was talking about his college prospects with my parents, and I was just so frustrated that I snapped. Our conversation went like, he said, I think I have a good shot at getting into state school. I said, like hell you do, with the shit you did last year. If you think running away to a different city and ruining my life can make what you did go away, then you're in for a fucking treat. He said, you're such a fucking bitch, get over it already. The mum said, OP, stop blaming your brother. You need to start adjusting to City Y. Apologize for what you said. Dad said, state school won't know. And I said, I'll email every single college you apply to with the screenshots and evidence if we don't move back to City X. That's a promise, not a threat. My parents got really furious with me for that, but I'm not joking. Am I the arsehole or my brother/parents? Commenter says, info. What exactly did he do that got him in so much trouble? I feel like that info could be important in deciding whether or not you're the arsehole. Opie replied saying Daniel went on a racist rant, calling people of color students he didn't like racial slurs, saying things like, that's why we need segregation again, etc. And he posted it on his main Snapchat story instead of his private one, with all his little racist buddies, and accidentally left it up for hours. It was a fucking shit show, and he deserved all of it in my opinion. Nexus Vane says, did your parents do anything about this at all? Was he punished at home? Did he show any remorse at all? Not the arsehole regardless, I'm just curious. I think before I moved, my first step would be to make sure my kid understood how vile what they did was, and we'd be looking at ways he could help the community and try to repair the damage, before ultimately deciding if we should leave or not. And it really bothers me when parents don't take initiative to actually hold their kids accountable when they do stuff like this. Opie says obviously there was a lot of backlash against him from students of color, but he just complained about them being sensitive and snowflakes and SJWs. Our parents made him write apologies to the kids he called slurs, but he sure dragged his feet doing it. He tried to get me to write one for him. So yeah, not a lot of remorse. His only punishments were getting grounded for 2 months, having to write those letters and making him delete social media. He re-downloaded them all 3 weeks later, and they just let him. My parents are pretty indulgent of him. Italy says, do you still have family in City X? Maybe your family will allow you to go back to stay with them. Normally I wouldn't suggest that, but you shouldn't have to sacrifice your future because your brother screwed up. OP says, my aunt lives there, but I've asked and my parents won't let me live with her. Guida quite says, not the arsehole. You're frustrated and angry. Are there friends or family you can live with during the week? I know you resent your parents, but they're probably doing the best and only thing they know how to do, protect their son. OP says, I know they just want to protect him, but I'm their kid too. And no, we didn't have family in this city, and I can't leave because of quarantine either way. But OP did come in with an update and said, hello Reddit. Before I begin, I'd like to thank everyone for how supportive they have been in response to my last post. I've gotten a lot of PMs about helping me with debate and advice, which is greatly appreciated. I haven't really gotten a chance to give you all an update, and you'll see why. So, as background, my uncle Randy, not real name of course, doesn't have kids, but he's dating my aunt Rebecca. Technically girlfriend, but it's been 8 years, so she's family. They live across the country in City Z, which is a great place. Not as nice as City X for debate, but definitely better than City Y. Since they live pretty far away, we only really see them on holidays. The years we spent it with Dad's family. Randy is very well off. I don't know how much he makes exactly, but I stayed at his house and it's very nice for a place in City Z. And it's not his only one. He's very generous and he set up college funds for me, Daniel, and Rebecca's little brother, Ricky. I'd still rather get a scholarship than use Randy's money because I don't want to be a burden. Ricky is younger than me, so sometimes I tutor him over the phone. We're pretty close. I also talk to my uncle fairly frequently. We talk about politics together. However, he doesn't really speak to or / like Daniel because he's rude to Rebecca. Anyways, I was helping Ricky with his math homework shortly after my original post when I just started to cry. I don't really know what came over me, but I haven't told anyone about how upset I was before then, because there's so much else going on in the world. Ricky and I talked, and I found out that my parents actually told the entire family the reason we're moving was because City Y had a better debate circuit, and they believed it because no one else does debate. I hadn't discussed the move with them, because I bottled my emotions. And they didn't really ask me about the move because they assumed I wanted it. I ended up talking to my uncle about it, and we had a really great conversation about it. He's extremely angry at my parents and Daniel. This was the second to last straw for him, and he ended up removing half of Daniel's college fund and split it into mine and Ricky's fund. Daniel was very upset because he'd been relying on that money, and our parents haven't saved up. So he threw my phone down the stairs. Then I emailed my uncle from my laptop and he revoked the rest of Daniel's college fund too. My parents are quite angry at me too because it's not like they can come up with the 200k by the time Daniel goes to college. My uncle has offered for me to come stay with them in City Z, which I have taken him up on. He also generously bought me a new phone, which I'm writing this post with right now. Edit. I've gotten a lot of messages, and I can't really answer them all, so I'll just address the most common questions. What did your brother do? Posted a racist Snapchat rant on his public story instead of private. I don't want to go too into detail besides that. Is insert video of racist kid your brother? Either way, I'm not going to confirm or deny it. However, I'm really impressed at the variety of racist kids vaguely fitting Daniel's description you guys have managed to find. Have your parents agreed to you moving in with your uncle? Short answer yes, long answer took a lot of pressure from other family members, but they conceded. I'll be with them on holidays. And yes, I agree, my uncle is fantastic. I'm a very lucky niece to have him. Someone said to OP, damn, your parents are a real piece of work. How did they not think this information wouldn't get out? Like you never talked to your extended family. OP says yeah, I don't think they really thought it through. The rush of the move forced them to come up with something fast, and I guess they were just hoping I'd calm down and go along with the lie in the future. I don't really know, to be honest. Another user says, are you in a safe place? Like your brother won't harm you in any way. Just break your stuff. Opie says, I don't think he would go so far as to physically attack me, and I'm sure my parents would intervene if he did. Also, I was gifted a taser by my friend for Christmas, lol, so if worst comes to worst. Thank you for your concern, though. Reem says, that's amazing. When do you get to move? Opie says ideally it'd be before the next school year starts, but it all depends on how quickly the curve is flattened. Reem replies again saying, how are your parents treating you right now? And your brother? I'd imagine it's quite tense or awkward right now. Opie says, when my brother isn't being passive aggressive, he's ignoring me. Usually when we make eye contact, he'll just walk into a different room and slam the door really loudly or game with his friends and complain about his bitch sister. Our rooms are next to each other. My parents are upset. They think the whole situation has blown up a lot more than they wanted, especially considering that a lot of the family is upset that they lied. They've calmed down a lot, but occasionally my mum will beg me to convince my uncle to change his mind. So frosty is the term I'd use. And Opie adds information on whether her brother can still go to college and says he can still go to college. Perhaps he'd have to take out loans or go to a school that's cheaper than his first choice. But considering what career he wants to pursue, it requires a college education, so he'll be getting one somehow. Did my uncle overreact? Perhaps, but it's his money and not my business what he does with it. I think the majority of comments after this were just glad that Opie looks to be getting out of that situation as soon as possible, because the brother seems to be taking no accountability, constantly aggressive towards the OP in this. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. Now our next story is from Traditional Hour 483. You may have heard it in other places, but now there's a new update to it as well. It's titled, Am I the Arsehole for going behind my wife's back and telling her pregnant sister that she's being cheated on? I've been married to my wife for 3 years. I'm 27 and she's 26. My sister-in-law is 30 and my piece of shit brother-in-law is 31. I always had a close relationship with my sister-in-law. We're friends. Also has a decent connection between my brother-in-law. Not that close, but we often talk and get along. My wife and her sister didn't get along as much as you would expect from siblings. It wasn't just normal siblings rivalry, but constant fights and arguments. Anyway, 3 weeks ago when I was having dinner with my friends, I saw my brother-in-law with another woman. They were just eating. I didn't think much of it. I wanted to go and greet him, but I kept talking to my friends. After a while, I saw that he gave a light kiss to this woman. I was so shocked. I decided to not confront him, and when I got back to my home, I told my wife everything. I told her that her sister is getting cheated on and we need to tell her. My wife said we should talk to my brother-in-law instead of telling her sister, and we should not break their marriage because her sister is pregnant. I was like, what the fuck? So what if she's pregnant? Her husband is a cheat. I tried to convince my wife multiple times that we should tell her sister the truth. I told her that I know you guys don't get along, but she's still your sister and this isn't right. But she asked me to stay out of it. I tried my best to convince my wife, but she either ignored me or said we shouldn't break their marriage. I had enough of her, and yesterday I told her that I'm coming clean to my sister-in-law. She and I have a great bond, and I can't and won't betray her. My wife said if I tell her the truth, she will not talk to me. I replied I won't talk to you either if you don't want to do what's right. Today I told my sister-in-law the truth. I went to her place and told her everything. She was doubtful and she asked me to leave. After a few hours, my sister-in-law called me and she was crying and said what I said was the truth and she shouldn't have doubted me and kicked me. She said she's leaving. I asked her, where would you go? Do you have money? She says she does, but not that much. I wired her a bit and said she should call me if she needs help. And she thanked me and said she will only use the money I send if it's necessary, otherwise she'll return it. My brother-in-law called my wife and, well, my wife lashed out on me and said I ruined her family and her sister's life. I said I thought the moment we got married, your family is mine and my family is yours. Anyway, why the fuck are you defending that piece of shit so much? What about your sister? She didn't reply to me, and she's not talking to me either. I tried to talk to her and convince her that it was the right thing to do, but she wouldn't talk to me. So I said fine, stay angry, and if you want to divorce me then go ahead. I think I've nuked my marriage. I do not know if what I did was truly right. So the first commenter says, sounds like your wife supports cheaters and that should be worrying to you, not the arsehole. Opie says, I thought about it and I am concerned about it, but I somewhat think she just asked me not to tell her because my sister-in-law is pregnant and it would cause her more stress. That's just what I think, but the truth is, if I hide it and support my wife, I'm in the wrong. If I tell her the truth after she gives birth, then still, I am wrong. If I hide it forever, then I am still wrong. Like, what am I supposed to do? Cover up for the betrayer and not help my family? Even if my wife is angry at me, and probably will lose her if I already haven't lost her. Commenter says, not the arsehole. If I were you, I would sleep with one eye open. Your wife has no moral standards. Opie says, I truly been thinking about this, that she might just be. But I love and trust my wife and I was thinking she wanted me to not tell her because my sister-in-law is pregnant. Women know how stressful pregnancy after pregnancy is and she might have thought that she needs support from her husband. I don't know. Nothing here makes sense to me. There was nothing for me to suspect of her cheating on me. The commenter says, I'm surprised your wife wouldn't tell her sister. Opie says, so am I. What I think is that no matter how strained both sisters' relationship is, at least a sibling would have her back of their sibling, especially when they are pregnant. Like she didn't even try to help her sister and is angry at me. And I'm like, what the fuck? Is this really the woman I got married to? So the first update came in and said, it's been a few days since I told my sister's wife that her husband is a cheat. Just to clarify to all the weirdos, no, I'm not in love with my sister-in-law. I don't have any inappropriate relation or feelings for her. I respect her and she's family. In any case, yesterday I asked my wife why she is pissed and wanted me to not reveal the truth to her sister. I know you guys hate each other, but you guys are siblings. My wife said it's not our place to interfere. I asked, are you okay with her sister being cheated on? She said she isn't, but it will and has ruined their marriage because of my stupidity. She's pregnant and that child needs his father, and so does the wife. I was shocked when she said this, like, what the fuck? I asked her if I were to cheat on you, would you forgive me? She said yes. I also asked her if she ever cheats on me, would she hide it from me? She also said yes to that. I was so shocked. I asked her if she knows what she's saying. She said yes, and she's confident. Just because you had sex with someone else doesn't mean everyone else has to suffer and break the family. I had no words to say. I told her that I also sent my sister-in-law money. She started screaming at me and said I shouldn't have helped her despite knowing she doesn't like her sister. I said if that's what she thinks, then it's better if we just divorce. She got angry and screamed fine and started packing her bag. I tried my best to stop her from leaving. I told her that I love her and I just did what I felt right. Nobody has to suffer betrayal like this. She said it wasn't the right time. I asked her, so when should we tell her the truth? After she gives birth? Because it will worsen her PPD, or years after she gives birth. She will just blame us. She said we should have just kept quiet and left it alone. I tried so hard to stop her, but she didn't listen to me and left. I tried to contact her parents, her friends, but they don't know where she is and instead started interrogating me and saying I am her husband and I should have taken care of her and I should know where she is. I even visited my brother-in-law to confirm my suspicions, but I didn't see her car or her belongings anywhere. I hate that I'm being blamed for just revealing the truth and my wife leaving me right away without a second thought. I was so damn pissed, so today I called my sister-in-law and told her that she can stay at my place because I'm going to my parents, and my wife left and nobody knows where she is. She told me she would try talking to her parents, but after a while she called me and said that their parents don't know where she is. I told her to think about herself and come over and stay here instead of blowing up her money. Now I'm at my parents and my sister-in-law is in our home. Maybe I was being petty, but I hate that my wife gave up on me and left without a second thought. I don't know whether she's cheating or cheated, or she would truly cheat on me and her own blood sister with a family relative over feuds. One thing is for sure though, I cannot trust my wife anymore. She hurt me. Someone said to the OP that you shouldn't have gone behind your wife's back to tell the sister-in-law about the affair. OP says yes, I did. I went behind her back. I tried so hard not to, but she is covering up for a cheater, and she wouldn't even spare her own sister. I love my wife and I mean it, but that doesn't mean I will give up on my own morals and my self-worth just to please the woman I love. I consider my wife's family as my own. Why did she try to stop me though? Why am I the bad guy in her eyes? It's just as easy to say, none of our business, and forget about everything else. Commenter says, I'm sorry OP. The way your wife speaks on the subject of cheating is concerning, especially that she would hide it from you. If I were in your shoes, I wouldn't be able to trust her either. How she doesn't look at cheating on your SO as a huge deal breaker is beyond me. Some couples can forgive and move past it, but not all. The baby's father can still be in his or her life. I'm sorry you're hurting and going through this. Hugs. OP says, yeah, I feel like she isn't even the woman I married. She's like a completely different person. Maybe the comments about I married the wrong sister were right. In any case, I loved and still do and will do so for the foreseeable future, so I'll just back out of a relationship and dating scene, and even I don't trust my wife at this point. Another commenter says, not the arsehole, your wife is a weirdo. I think it's more that she hates her sister than she's worried about her baby. If she were worried, why would she get angry at you for helping your sister-in-law? I do worry though, that you might have endangered her by leaving her alone in your house. If your wife returns and sees her there, she might get hurt. She also will probably cheat on you if she hasn't already. I would proceed with a divorce. So around 2 weeks later, OP comes in with another update and says many people ask me for an update, and I also do need some outsiders' perspectives over my situation, so here it goes. But before, I just want to clarify and ask people who kept calling me names for telling my sister-in-law the truth. Why you guys kept telling me to mind my own business? She's family, and if families don't look out for each other and help, then who else will? Strangers? And it's not some harmless or small lie from my brother-in-law. It's life-changing. My sister-in-law isn't just my sister-in-law. She's my friend. If I didn't tell her the truth now, then my piece of shit brother-in-law would have just kept cheating, and I would lose a friend if I delayed. Anyway, coming back to the update. My sister-in-law only stayed at my place for 2 days. After that, she called me and said she can't trouble me anymore and she's going to live in a hotel. I tried to convince her to not blow up her money unnecessarily, but she didn't listen and left anyway. And yes, I am divorcing my wife. After a week of no contact, she called me and said she wants to reconcile. She said she was angry that I didn't listen to her and went behind her back. She said she didn't want to break her sister's family, so she wanted to hide it and convince my brother-in-law to not cheat, but I fucked it all up and she's coming back. I just asked her to come back because I wanted to talk to her, and it's not something you discuss over calls. Once my wife arrived and started to explain herself, I told her I am filing. She was pretty shocked. She said we can make it work. I told her we can't. I don't trust you after everything you said, and you just left me with no contact and you show up suddenly while I was worried all day about where my wife is or if she's safe, etc. I can't make it work. She tried convincing me to not divorce, but I had already made my intentions clear. I told her that her sister stayed at our place for 2 days and she got angry and said, fine, let's divorce, and left. I told my sister-in-law that I'm getting a divorce. She wasn't happy about it, but she didn't try to convince me in or out of it. I told her that she can stay with me instead of a hotel. She said it's inappropriate. I just said either you blow up your money and struggle or she can accept my help. So my sister-in-law and I have been living together for the past couple of days, and we discussed about our spouses and their behavior. We both got pretty angry about all this. My sister-in-law even more angry than I was, and she ended up calling my wife and calling her names, and she told me she's hell-bent onto ruining my brother-in-law. She's divorcing him and will go nuclear on him and ask for as much money as alimony and child support. She wants to drain him. My wife and I didn't talk to each other after she left, and we both know that we're divorcing. My sister-in-law, though angry, she calmed down because it's unhealthy for her and her baby, and she started focusing on her career and read stories about single mums, and she's preparing herself. So yeah, that's all. And weirdos stay away. Neither my sister-in-law nor I have feelings between each other. I'm just helping her, and she wasn't feeling good about it. That's why she was hesitating so much. Call me the moral police, but I know I did the right thing. Not just for my sister-in-law, but for me as well. I now know what kind of woman my wife is. On the back of that update, someone says to OP, I'm sorry you're having to go through with this. Not the arsehole, but please get support from whomever you can and continue providing support to your sister-in-law. Wishing you the best going forward. OP says thanks. I got my parents' support, but they won't pick sides. After all, we're both their children and we're fighting, which is understandable. My mum calls me every day at least thrice to check up on me. Me and my sister-in-law support each other and talk a lot. I'm in pain, but her pain is unimaginable. She's pregnant and found out her baby's father is a cheat. Also low on money and ashamed to seek help. Yes, she's no longer my sister-in-law, but my friend. I try my best to support her, but even though she's in so much pain, she's thinking about herself and her child. Women are truly strong, especially when they're pregnant, indeed. Commenter says, did your wife ever tell you where she went? I find it interesting that she has a place where she can just go for an extended period of time and nobody knows where she went to. Opie says, I don't, and I don't care. I had mixed feelings. I love my wife and I tried to stop her from leaving. Tried to convince her, but she left anyway, while I was worried all day, every day about my wife. I was so worried as to where my wife is. Is she safe? Has she ate? But she never contacted me after she left, and her family didn't know about where she was. But no matter how much I love her, it's better if I just divorce. I've lost all my trust in her. Not just that she wanted to hide my brother-in-law's cheating. She even said she would expect me to forgive her for cheating, and she would forgive me if I cheated. I don't want that. None of this. Besides, if a pregnant woman can go so far as putting her emotions aside and think for herself, then I also should cut out toxicity and restart my life instead of worrying. She kind of inspired me. And OP added one more post, which was in the Am I the Arsehole subreddit, and said, am I the arsehole for celebrating Christmas with my sister-in-law, but my soon-to-be ex-wife is pissed and spreading rumors about us having an affair. It said, I've made 3 posts prior to this one and I know nobody wants to go through all that, but I never thought celebrating Christmas with my sister-in-law would cause this much drama, so I'll drop a TLDR. I found out that my brother-in-law was cheating on my sister-in-law, my soon-to-be ex-wife's sister. When I told my then wife, she told me to stay quiet. I didn't and went ahead and told my sister-in-law. My then wife's reasoning was that we shouldn't interfere in their marriage as it doesn't concern us. I was angry that she would defend cheating. When I asked her if she would forgive me if I cheated, she said she would because it's just sex. After a huge fight, she left and disappeared for a week. When she came back, I told her that I'm filing and currently we're going through the divorce process. So me and my soon-to-be ex are going through legal proceedings and we're going to get divorced 100% because I can't trust someone who defends cheaters, especially someone who defends a cheater who cheats on her own sister. Yes, their sister's relationship was fucked, but it's still wrong for me and for my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law is going through the divorce process as well, and she's aggressively seeking child support and alimony. So on Christmas, I invited my sister-in-law to celebrate with me. I had already been supporting her financially, and we got closer and became friends because we both were betrayed by our partners. We would talk, we would vent and get angry so much at both of them. My sister-in-law and I celebrated Christmas with kids from both of our families, like nephews and nieces, and even their friends joined us for a while. We kinda went overboard and showered them with gifts. But my soon-to-be ex got to know about it and she told everyone in my and her family that it's us that were cheating. I'm now trying to get married to her sister, which is why I'm divorcing her. Most of our families didn't believe her except some of hers and mine. They said I'm a cheat and I shouldn't be celebrating with my sister-in-law because she's my ex-sister-in-law. Because I'm divorcing my wife and I should be spending time with my wife instead of divorcing her. She did not wrong me. I tried to tell her that her defending cheaters is so stupid. And I and my ex-sister-in-law are friends and we celebrated with the kids and she herself is pregnant and I was just supporting her. And she also supports me because we're going through so much. But they kept saying that I should take my wife back and do good by her, and spending time with my soon-to-be ex-sister-in-law is not good. And we are and were cheating. So am I the asshole for celebrating Christmas with her and kids from our family? They didn't stay for a long time, but after they left, me and sister-in-law did spend a long time together, but it was just us drinking and talking about the future and what we should do about our partners. And we just vent to each other. I was still left after this one. Where did that wife go for the week? You know, it all points towards the brother-in-law just disappearing like that and no contact, etc. And her whole attitude towards her sister and the cheating as well. You know, she wouldn't tell him. It's like, why would you say that in the first place? But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.